Are you saying smells don't exist if we can't smell them?
Well, isn't that what we said at the very beginning? If there isn't a smell hole for it to fit into... I mean, the molecule can exist, but the smell of the molecule is no smell, surely.
But it might exist to other creatures.
Were you saying that other creatures in the animal kingdom, just on the off chance that at some point in the future an AI would slap together a molecule, they've got a hole that's exactly the same shape as that molecule?
The AI fix a digital zoo. Smart machines, what will they do? Flies to Mars or bake a bad cake? World domination, a silly mistake. Bots with brains.
Hello and welcome to episode 14 of the AI Fix, your weekly fix of the bizarre and mind-boggling world of artificial intelligence. My name is Mark Stockley.
And I'm Graham Cluley.
Now, Graham, I think you owe someone an apology.
Again? What's it about this week?
Well, let's find out in a new section I like to call Mea Culpa.
I'm sorry, Dave.
So, Graham, last week you did a story about sex with robots. You said that women are going to be having more sex with robots than with men by 2025, which is only in 4 months' time.
According to futurologist Ian Pearson, he predicted that by 2025, women will be having more sex with robots than men. Now, as I mentioned at the time, that's a rather confusing headline. Does that mean women will be having more sex with robots rather than having sex with men? Or does it mean men will be having less sex with robots than women are having? But I believe your problem with this is something else. Is that right?
Well, did you look at the date on the article, Graham?
Well, not until you mentioned it to me after the recording.
How recently do you think an article should be published in order for us to call it news and for it to appear in our news section, do you think? Plus or minus 12 months?
Well,
what sort of window should we be working in?
So this particular article, it turns out it was published by the Sun newspaper, if that isn't an oxymoron, in the wake of the Brexit vote. So it was in June 2016.
Did they think they were going to cheer everyone up? Never mind. We're not in Europe anymore, but we will be having more sex with robots by 2025.
So yes, the story is 8 years old, but to my mind, this makes the story more pertinent and timely than ever because the prediction was made and now we're getting really, really close to it, Mark. And I think that's what we have to consider here. This deadline is only 4 months away, which means, they really need to be gearing themselves up and maybe buying a robot, maybe at least investing in a Roomba or something like that. All the add-ons you can get. I just think it was a timely reminder.
You didn't see the date on the article, did you?
I didn't see the date on the article. And for that, I apologise to our lovely listeners. But still, quite important story, maybe.
I think we all know that Dr. Ian Pearson wrote this back in 2016, thinking that 9 years away is so far, no one will ever remember. This is a perfectly safe prediction. Pocket the cash and move on. Yep. Well, we're on to you.
Exactly. That's it. We're asking the questions that matter. We're chasing up. We're not letting anyone get away with this sort of nonsense. That is my mea culpa.
I'm sorry, Dave.
So, Mark, what's happening in the wonderful world of AI this week?
The Vatican wants a moratorium on killer robots.
Kim Jong-un inspects new suicide drones, obviously not having heard of the moratorium, and urges incorporation of AI.
OpenAI is in talks for a funding round which values it above $100 billion.
Women are less interested in AI than men.
Bad news for Dr. Ian Pearson there. A new AI model can hallucinate a game of 1993's Doom in real time, proving that everything can in fact run Doom.
Chinese robot conference spotlights changing face of humanoids.
So, Graham, what's that all about?
Well, this news comes to you directly from the World Robot Conference 2024 in Beijing, China, where apparently they unveiled 27 state-of-the-art humanoid robots. And they said that they were showcasing major advancements in bipedal movement and dexterity, which of course is what you want from your robot, plenty of dexterity and to look vaguely humanoid by walking around on your back feet. And they actually produced a video where you could actually see these robots walking onto a stage, and they did look remarkably human.
Very, very human.
They're extraordinarily human.
Startlingly human.
Almost as if this were a bunch of female models who had been dressed up as robots and to do the sort of robot dance. That's what they were sort of doing. I don't know if they were all humans.
I think there was some Disney animatronics at the back. I think there was a row of actual humans wearing robot costumes and then some sort of shonky Disney animatronics.
Yes, and then maybe some cardboard cutouts and some puppets on strings and all sorts of other things trying to appear to be robots. So there were some things which looked remarkably less human in the background, but were still humanoid in shape. But they were moving in a much more clunky fashion.
I would have to say the major advancements in bipedal movement and dexterity were much more apparent towards the front of the stage, weren't they?
We will link to the video so people can check it out.
Yeah, I think we all know if these were real robots, they would be terrifying headless dogs. Speaking of terrifying headless dogs, you remember last week we spoke about killer robots?
Yeah.
Well, last week was also the second session of the 2024 group of governmental experts of the Convention on Certain Conventional Weapons on Autonomous Weapons Systems, which took place in Geneva last week, but it doesn't seem to have agreed very much. So we still don't have a moratorium on the use of autonomous lethal weapons, which are basically robots that can decide whether they're going to make the decision to kill or not. But fear not. Groups from multiple religions, including the World Council of Churches, representatives from Islam, Japanese Buddhist movement, and the Baha'i faith, took the opportunity to call for human control in military technologies, which seems like a good idea, and the Vatican weighed in, calling for a moratorium on developing autonomous lethal weapons, saying autonomous weapons lack the moral judgment essential for decisions involving human life.
Oh, so the Vatican is saying you've got to be really careful making moral judgments regarding life and death.
Robots have got to be very careful.
Okay. Now, I imagine the weapons company's been wrapped across the knuckles now by these number of religious groups. They're going to be taking a lot of notice of this, I would think, and paying attention. The interesting thing that I've noticed is that autonomous weapon systems, the acronym is AWS, which also, of course, is shared by Amazon Web Services. Is there any connection? Are we signing up for AWS to serve all our data and things like this? And in fact, these are autonomous web... I don't know.
Are you saying our website's running on a robot dog? Like it's got a side hustle when it's not busy, like, rampaging and murdering and launching rockets from its rocket launcher on its back.
It's also running PHP. Now, our good friend, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, fan of the show, of course, he has been inspecting a new line of suicide drones. And he's been saying that these drones, which are supposed to obviously strike enemies in wherever, really.
Not North Korea.
Not North Korea, ideally not North Korea. But he's saying these suicide drones, they need AI in them. It needs AI integrated in them. And of course, they have caused trouble in the past for various countries, haven't they? And in particular, South Korea, they're not terribly keen on. But I thought it was a little bit strange that he's talking about suicide drones. Now, it seems to me a suicide drone is just a drone which doesn't come back afterwards.
Yeah, like a one-way boomerang, which is just another way of saying stick.
Yes, exactly. So he's encouraging the incorporation of AI into sticks and rocks, which he's going to throw over the DMZ into South Korea. Unless, of course, a suicide drone with AI may think, oh, well, hang on. Maybe I shouldn't go and hit over there. Maybe I should be a boomerang and come all the way back again and kill the person who launched me in the first place.
I was thinking the same thing. Like, if you put AI into a suicide drone, does it know it's a suicide drone? How intelligent is the AI? Is there a moment where it's like, hang on a minute, am I a suicide drone? Do I want to be a suicide drone?
Right, I'm going to ask Gemini right now. Imagine you are a suicide drone.
Gemini's going to struggle with this.
It says it doesn't possess the concept of health or the capacity to experience emotions or fear death.
All right, but what if it does? That's very definitive.
He said, even hypothetically, the act of self-destruction would still be dictated by my programming. Well, you kind of hope AIs do have the capacity to self-destruct, don't you, if they kind of go a little bit haywire. This is a topic for a future episode of the AI Fix, maybe.
Researchers from Google and Tel Aviv University have unveiled a new AI model called Game Engine. Get it? Game Engine, which can hallucinate a playable version of the classic 1993 video game Doom in real time. So the AI doesn't run the actual game, it generates gameplay visuals and scenarios on the fly, which mimics the style of the original game.
Oh, so you can't play it?
No, you can. You can play it, but the thing that you're playing is sort of being manifested as you play it. So the model was trained on vast amounts of Doom footage. I mean, you know how this stuff works by now. Basically, you show it a whole load of Doom footage, and then it can generate new frames of Doom at over 20 frames per second on a single tensor processing unit, which is a kind of CPU for AI. And lots of people, including the NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang, are predicting that AI is the future of video gaming, but we aren't there yet. So the first thing that hit me when I read this story is that it only knows how to make Doom footage because, you know, that's how this works. Like you play it loads and loads of Doom footage, then it's like, I'm starting to get the idea now. And then it can play Doom footage. So
you still have to write the game. Someone has to write the game.
Yeah. And then someone else can rip it off and say, look, I've made a somewhat playable version of your game without doing any work other than all the work you did. Yeah.
Okay, so it's seen what happens when other people press the right button or press the fire button or how a monster gets splurged or something. And so when you do that in this hallucinatory playable version, it just replicates that and thinks, oh, I probably should be looking at a wall now, or I probably should be walking in the wrong direction. I mean, that's normally what happened to me when I played Doom and Wolfenstein 3D.
Can it do the thing where you walk into the corner and then you're just trapped in the corner walking... unable to get out of the corner, but your legs are still moving, like you're in a Tom and Jerry cartoon.
So there's a video of this?
There is a video. Don't get too excited. So it doesn't have a soundtrack, which tells me that they haven't done the AI that does the soundtrack yet.
Right.
Or if they have, it's so bad that they didn't want anyone to hear it.
It's technically very clever.
Yeah.
Utterly unengaging. Some researchers have been looking into how their AIs could actually smell.
Is this like your conceptual joke?
No.
How does my AI smell?
My AI's got no nose. How does it smell? It's grok. How do you imagine it smells? I dread to think what the different AIs smell like. Elon Musk, his surname actually is a smell, right? It is. So that's not a good start. But I mean, it suggests that he is interested in smells. Do you know how smell actually works at a molecular level?
I feel like I do.
Well, I did O-level chemistry. I got a C grade, so I think I'm ideally qualified to tell you exactly.
Well, why don't I tell you, and then you tell me if I'm right?
All right.
So basically, a little bit of whatever it is that you can smell goes up your nose and gets stuck in a specific shape smell hole.
Very good.
And if it sticks in that hole, then you smell that smell. So if you can smell something unpleasant, it's because that unpleasant thing is now in a hole in your nose.
That is a very simplistic way of explaining. I mean, obviously you don't understand it at the sort of depth which I know, but that's right. So every smell molecule has a unique shape. So you can imagine all the different components of smells. So it's like a little jigsaw puzzle. Some of them are round, some are long and skinny, some of them are wobbly with weird bumps. And like you said, they all fit into different detectors in your nose. So imagine again, like a jigsaw puzzle, and if you get a good connection, then it's like, oh, that's that one, which has come in. It's an extraordinary thing. And they're also different sizes as well. And of course, the thing gets even more complicated, and smelling things becomes more complicated because you don't just have one smell assault in your nostrils at once. You've got all kinds of different bits of this. You've got a bit of body odour. You've got a little bit of air freshener. You've got a little bit of turtle wax.
I feel like I know which IT department you're describing. I too remember that IT department.
So smelling things, kind of complicated. That's why some animals are better at smelling things than others, why people have different sized noses. I don't know if that's true. And it would be really complicated to create a machine that could sort through all those different shaped, different sized molecules, all jumbled up to work out what you are actually smelling and decipher it all. That would be a complicated thing to do, especially when the chances are, as I said, you're dealing not with one smell, but a whole cacophony. You could have the smell of Elon Musk's bed sheets mixed up with Sam Altman's bottle of formaldehyde. You know, trying to work out what you have there is tricky. So that's why people are looking to use AI. Now, a recent study is using AI techniques to analyze and create a database of 5,000 molecules with known scents, identify the most complex patterns that link their particular molecular structure to odour, And once they've trained it, they're then saying, it's like the Coke challenge, but not with taste, obviously. So it's like you've got Coca-Cola and Pepsi, and they're saying, can you work out what the scent is? And so they are getting the AI to guess the scent of different compounds based only on their chemical compositions. They're putting the little bits together. And they're also asking humans to smell these things and try and work out, what is this? Is this a bit smoky? Is it a powdery? Are you getting, what am I getting here? And so for over half of the test compounds, the AI was apparently better at identifying the scent than the average human participant. I have to say, that is a lousy result.
Just hang on. So you're saying that for half of them it was better, and half of them it was worse.
Well, a little bit over half, apparently. It's all the data that we've been shared here. But
Right.
over half, they're better than the humans. But I think that's pretty puny. If they'd brought in a bloodhound, for instance,
Yeah.
and if they'd augmented that bloodhound's brain to include the capacity to talk or communicate to us via an Elon Musk neural link, and that tell us what it could smell, I suspect the AI would really be deficient.
But the bloodhound would be able to train it. I mean, I wonder if it's not a coincidence that the AI turns out to be exactly as good and bad as the humans. The scientists that decided to do this looked around the animal kingdom and said, which animal is the worst at smelling?
Right?
Let's have that train the AI that can smell.
Are humans the worst at smelling?
I think they are. Have you seen the size of our noses?
Yeah, but what about elephants, right?
They've got a massive nose.
Well,
Huge nose.
No, but that's really an arm, isn't it? It's really their arm.
No, it's a nose, Graham.
It is primarily for moving tree trunks and things and eating peanuts. It's not for smelling so much, I don't think. How would we know? How would we know? Anyway, the researchers have used their AI now to create a database of scents for 500,000 new compounds that have never been smelled before. They've increased the number of compounds with known scents by a factor of 100. So there are more smells now in laboratories which have never been smelt before, without necessarily considering the implications of these things, using the AI to create them.
How do they fit into the smell holes?
Do we even have smell holes for all of these smells?
Well, if we don't, surely they have no odour.
No odour to us.
But no odour to anything. Like
Well,
if
but
it's
no.
never existed before, like
Well, they've never been...
like there's a jigsaw with a piece missing, right?
Yes.
And what they've done is they've gone into the workshop, they've turned off the lights, and they have just sawn away at a piece of wood.
Yeah, but it might be...
They're hoping that fits into a smell hole.
Are you saying smells don't exist if we can't smell them?
Well, isn't that what we said at the very beginning? If there isn't a smell hole for it to fit into... I mean, the molecule can exist, but the smell of the molecule is
But
no
it might
smell,
exist
surely.
to other creatures. It may exist to...
Well, you're saying that other creatures in the animal kingdom, just on the off chance that at some point in the future an AI would slap together a molecule, they've got a hole
How
that's
do you
exactly
know?
the same shape as that molecule.
How do you know these smells don't exist somewhere in Borneo? And there's a little tree frog which can smell them, and we've never noticed this particular smell because of our deficient noses. And the frog knows all about them, and that's why it's inventing these. Anyway,
Hang on.
how can we...
Whoa. You're not getting off that easy. While we were talking, I went to Gemini and I said, do elephants have a good sense of smell?
Yes?
Yes, elephants have an exceptionally strong sense of smell. I'm guessing this is because they have big noses. Their large, sensitive trunks are packed with olfactory receptors, allowing them to detect scents from great distances. They use this ability for various tasks, such as finding food and water, communicating, detecting... I'm abbreviating, obviously. Detecting danger. In fact, studies have shown that elephants have the highest number of olfactory receptor genes of any animal known, making their sense of smell even more impressive.
Okay, so I made a slight error, but other than that...
So next week's episode is just all mea culpa.
So there is a startup now called Osmo, an AI startup.
Right.
They say they are using AI technology to help computers generate smells like we generate images and sounds. So rather than going to your artificial intelligence generator to write you a text of an essay or go into Udio to create a theme tune,
Or make Doom.
you can now instead make smells. And the CEO of Osmo, he says he's been obsessed with smell for a long time. which is what's driven him.
That raises more questions than it answers.
Here are some ways in which being able to smell with AI could be really helpful. So quality control, food safety, right? You can detect if something's gone off. We've all had the experience of opening the fridge door and you go, oh, hey, I think that's a bit ripe. Well, wouldn't it be good to do that earlier in the process?
It pains me to say it, but that does actually sound quite useful.
What about healthcare? So we know that there are ways of telling about potential diseases by smells and what are euphemistically called bodily odours. I once got infected by something called beaver fever.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Normally, apparently, it's caught by Canadian trappers, people who are trying to capture beavers and drink from the water when they're out there. I was just in the home counties at the time in England. I wasn't doing anything with beavers.
What you're saying is that there is a beaver that specifically hates you.
Environmental monitoring. So, I mean, obviously, sometimes you can smell gas or other pollutants, hazardous substances. Wouldn't that be useful for AI to do? Smelling explosives. In airports, you use dogs at the moment. Maybe you could use an AI. HR could so use having smell detector. I remember an instance. I was running a team of web developers at one point at a company that I was working at. And there was an odour in the department, which I felt I wasn't very good at managing people, but I felt it was my duty as the manager to address this issue, which was being complained about by some people. And so I basically had a sort of scent lineup. So rather like you have a lineup of suspects and you identify them visually. Yeah. Police actually do have, and as I had in the company as well, have a scent lineup. Now, I sniffed myself. I didn't bring in a dog to help me do this. But, I was able to identify who was making the unpleasant smell. And then I was able to advise that person to maybe wash their clothes or something like that.
You'd prefer to defer that job to an AI, is what you're saying?
That is less likely to make an HR issue, right? If they make a complaint that I was going around sniffing people in the company.
I'm all for that, as long as we can attach it to one of those big game show wheels with an arrow on it. And then you sort of stand next to it and then the arrow swings to illustrate how smelly you are so everyone can see.
And maybe the most important use of this at all is to track missing people or villains. So use by the police. So police are now looking into how they could use AI technology to track people's smell, to find them if they've been lost or missing, just like you would use dogs. Because you could use a drone, right? A dog is used because it can go across difficult terrain, get in small places. Well, a drone potentially could be useful too.
I think it's also used because it's got a very good sense of smell.
Yes.
And one of
but
the
they don't use elephants, Mark, do they? They don't. I mean, I thought you were saying elephants were so. I thought you were saying elephants are really good, right? They don't use elephants, do they? Funny that. Maybe they know more than you. So I asked.
This is like the old Dalek defence. If you want to get away from a Dalek, you just run down a flight of stairs, right? If you want to get away from the police sniffer elephants, you just go through a standard doorway. Just go from any room into any other room.
Or you carry a small mouse with you. And that will, of course, terrify the elephant into jumping on top of a table. So I asked AI to give me some examples of when smell had played a key part in solving investigations. And it came up with a couple of examples. It came up with the case of the Stinky Cheese Bandit and another one, which was the case of the Minty Fresh murder. Are you familiar with either of these cases?
No, strangely, they're both new to me.
Okay, let me tell you, because AI told me in 2018, a series of cheese thefts plagued a small town in Wisconsin. The culprit, dubbed the Stinky Cheese Bandit, left behind a pungent odour of cheese at the crime scene. Police eventually caught the thief after receiving a tip-off from someone who recognised the unique smell on a suspect. So I thought that's a very interesting case. And I thought I want to dig deeper into that. I thought the Stinky Cheese Bandit. So I asked for more details, and it said none are available.
Oh.
So I said, can you give me a link where I can read more? It says, we are unable to provide you with a link. I said, so what town was the Stinky Cheese Bandit active in? And it said, unfortunately, without more specific information or a concrete news source about the Stinky Cheese Bandit case, I can't pinpoint the exact town in Wisconsin where these thefts occurred.
Shocking.
However, it said, there are a few things you could try to narrow down the location. You could search the internet, it said, for variations of Stinky Cheese.
Have you tried Google? Yeah.
I thought, isn't that your job to do that? It said you could also check Wisconsin cheese producer websites or forums.
Did it suggest that you check an AI?
It said browse websites related to cheese production in Wisconsin to see if there's any mention of the case, or contact local police departments in cheese producing areas. If you're really determined, it said, you could try reaching out to police departments in towns known for cheese production in Wisconsin to see if they have any information on the case. So I then asked it the killer question. Did you make up this entire story about the Stinky Cheese Bandit? I apologise for the confusion. I was not able to find any credible news sources or police reports to corroborate the Stinky Cheese Bandit case. It's possible that the details were embellished or fictionalised in the context of illustrating answers to your question. So I went to the next example it gave me, which was the Minty Fresh murder. I'm sure you remember this case, Mark. A cold case from the 1970s. Investigators made a breakthrough when they noticed a faint minty smell on a piece of evidence. The smell was linked to a specific brand of toothpaste used by a suspect, and this led to his identification and arrest. So again, I said, give me more details. And do you know what the AI said to me? It said, the case you're referring to appears to be a fictional one. Oh, surprise, surprise. Potentially inspired by an episode of CSI Crime Scene Investigation called Deep Fried and Minty Fresh, where they find a deceased body with a minty smell. It turns out she'd ingested a large amount of toothpaste, leading to her death. However, it says this was fictional, created for the show, and not a real-life event.
So according to Google, there is actually an episode of CSI Crime Scene Investigations called Deep Fried and Minty Fresh. Today, I thought we could delve a little deeper into what makes AI tick. So we're going to learn about tokens, and we're going to learn why, before long, AI is probably going to need a new pair of glasses to help it understand the world a bit better.
Okay.
And to show you that the world looks a little bit different to AIs than it does to us, we're going to begin with a simple question. So, Graham, how many times does the letter R appear in the word strawberry?
3.
Okay, and where are they?
There's one which is like the third character.
Yeah.
And there are 2 which are next to the Y at the end.
Yeah, so there's 1 in straw and 2 in berry.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'd like you to do now, could you fire up your favourite large language model?
Okay, I'm right here.
And we're going to ask it the same question.
All right. So the question is, how many R's are there in strawberry? There are 2 R's in strawberry. What?
Which one did you ask?
I'm using Google Gemini. That's what I've got on my desktop.
Okay, so I'm with ChatGPT. How many R's are there in strawberry? There are 2 R's in the word strawberry.
Huh.
All right, I'm going to ask it again. Count the number of times the letter R appears in strawberry. The letter R appears 3 times in the word strawberry.
Oh, know it all. I'm going to say, are you sure? Yes, I am sure. There are 2 R's in strawberry. Why is it doing this? I'm asking Grok. How many R's are there in the word strawberry? Let me count the R's for you. So it's actually gone through letter by letter. It goes 1, S, 2, T. It's like a kid. Okay, I'm going to count them on my fingers. But it does conclude there are 3 R's. So it was really, really careful. It wrote out the letters one by one and it got it right. But yeah, Gemini got it wrong.
Let's try Claude. Count the number of times R appears in strawberry. Let's count the number of times the letter R appears in strawberry. So it seems to be doing the same thing as Grok. strawberry. There are 2 occurrences of the letter R in strawberry, says Claude. No? Oh, I apologise for the error in my previous response. You're right to point that out. Let me recount carefully. strawberry. Upon careful recounting, I can confirm that there is actually only one occurrence of the letter R in the word strawberry. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. Accuracy is important, and I appreciate the opportunity to correct my mistake.
Could they not get an elephant in to count this for them?
Would you like to take a stab at what's going on here?
Well, I just think it's a moron. I just think maybe it's incapable of understanding the question properly. Is this a bit like when it starts talking in your own voice and it has to monitor its own voice to see if it's gone mad? Have you tried this with other words as well?
I haven't. The strawberry is a kind of known case for this. It will work with other words too, but the strawberry is the test case for this particular problem. So we've spoken before about how AI brains are different from ours.
Yes.
And they're good at some things that we aren't. So they're good at remembering, much better than us. And they're bad at things that we're good at. So they're not very good at reasoning.
Hmm.
And if you want to know more about that, if you listen to the back catalogue of the AI Fix up till now, you'll hear lots and lots about that. But this isn't that. In fact, this isn't about the AI's brain at all. This is about something that happens before the data gets into the brain. Something that is roughly analogous to a flaw in the AI's eyes and ears.
Right.
So this is the AI equivalent of being a bit colourblind. In a human, you've got eyes and ears that turn colours and sounds into electrical impulses, and the brain makes sense of the electrical impulses. Your brain doesn't work with the colours and the sounds directly. And the AIs we're talking about are similar.
Yep.
Obviously, they don't have eyes and ears, but they do have the equivalent of an organ that turns the outside world into something it can understand. And that organ is called the tokenizer.
I don't like to think about Grok's organ, quite frankly.
I imagine Grok is the sort of AI that would boast about the size of its tokenizer. Anyway, we'll get to what a tokenizer does. We're just going to talk about large language models just for a second. So a large language model like GPT-4o is just that. It's a large model of language.
Yep.
And we feed it words and sentences. So we ask it questions and we type nonsense and we say things like, write me an acrostic.
Yes, yes.
So we put those words and sentences into it and it gives us words and sentences in response. And in the case of ChatGPT, it gives us lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of words and sentences and paragraphs and subclauses. But under the hood, they work in numbers. Because under the hood, they're doing statistics.
Yeah.
So when you ask an LLM a question like, how many children does Boris Johnson have? Or how many R's are there in strawberry? It's not trying to give you a truthful answer. It's just going through the patterns it's learned. And it's working out what's the statistically most appropriate collection of patterns to give you in return. Are you with me so far? Do you need a lie down or anything?
Yeah, no. I could always do a bit of a lie down, but no, I'm with you so far.
All right. So we feed it words and sentences, and it turns those into numbers and does some statistics, and then it turns those numbers back into words and sentences.
Rare.
And the process of turning language into numbers is called tokenization.
Yep.
And that's what the tokenizer does.
Yep.
And when you train an AI model by feeding it millions and millions of documents, it identifies the chunks of language it sees over and over again, and it creates a vocabulary of those bits. And each one of those bits is given a number. And those numbered bits of language are called tokens.
Yeah, I understand this perfectly. I mean, I used to write text adventure games,
Right.
which had lots of text and, bits of words and certain phrases which got repeated over and over again.
Yeah.
And in order for those to fit onto a 360k floppy disk, those games which had so much text in them, I would tokenize all the language in the game, because most of the game was actually words and sentences.
Right.
And so this was the form of compression, basically, which I was using.
Okay, so in your game,
Yeah.
let's say you've got to write an introduction.
Yeah.
The introduction is going to be token 42, followed by token 3, followed by token 17.
That kind of thing.
And then it looks up and it says, okay, well, what token's that? That's like once, upon,
Yep.
something like that.
Yep, exactly.
So these numbered bits of language are called tokens. And when it comes to LLMs, tokens are a really important unit of measurement. So, for example, we often say on the podcast offhand that large language models are trained on the entire internet. But Meta would say that Llama 3 was trained on 15 trillion tokens of data. And it might also say that it uses a tokenizer with a vocabulary of 128,000 tokens. So in the course of being trained, it's identified 128,000 different language patterns that it's mapped the relationships between. And you might think that if you're breaking down a language into logical chunks, that you would choose one of the existing logical chunks of language like letters or words. But if you thought that, you'd be wrong. And a token is neither. So the job of the large language model is to model a language and identify the features in the language that matter. And simplistically, there are too many words and too few letters to make a good model.
Right.
And it turns out the best compromise is something in between. In reality, tokens can be letters and numbers and whole words or chunks of words, but on average, they are chunks of language that are about 4 letters long. So after it's been trained, the AI has a vocabulary of hundreds of thousands of tokens, and then we feed the AI a request like write an acrostic about the AI fix, and the tokenizer's job is to look at that phrase and split it up into the tokens it already knows. And this part of the process is easier to look at than it is to explain, so I'm going to introduce you to the OpenAI tokenizer.
Right.
So do you want to grab that out of the show notes and then bring it up in your web browser?
I've got it up here right now. Yeah. Hello, Mum. Oh, there we go. Cool.
So tell us what you can see.
The screen is split into 2 parts. There is an input field where I can type any text which I want. And beneath it, it is showing me the same text as I type, which is in different colours, which I think are blocked by the number of tokens. So I've written hello, Mum, full stop.
Mm-hmm.
And that's telling me there's 3 tokens, 1 for hello, 1 for Mum, and 1 for the full stop.
So that's telling you that hello and mum are probably quite common words in the training data.
Yeah.
And they haven't therefore been broken up.
So I'm now going to enter Raxicoricophallopatarius. Okay, that's come up as 9 different tokens.
Just read out for us how that's broken down. So if you treat each token as a separate word and read it out.
So I've got Rax, Ik, Oric, Off, Ale, Atrius.
Now, there's a slim chance that some of the people listening have never heard those words ever. So I have just pasted some text into the show notes for you.
Oh, okay.
Just to save you typing it out. If you could just cut and paste that.
Okay, let's take... Oh, interesting choice of words you've entered. So we've got Meet Avatar Graham Cluley is the 3rd funniest presenter on the AI fix.
Oh, I thought Graham 2.0 was pretty good.
Yeah. The AI version of me. So we've got 17 tokens here, it says. So we've got me, at for meet, avatar, Graham, Cluley, unfortunately, breaks up into 3 tokens. I'd thought I'd be more important than that, but no. Cluley is, as you would expect, is a single token. The 3rd, fun, and then we have nearest presenter on the AI fix.
So that phrase that you've just read out has got 13 words and 71 characters.
Yeah.
But there are 17 tokens.
Yes.
And so each of those tokens is represented by a number in the large language model.
Oh, yes. So there's a toggle here which I can use, which will, rather than showing me the letters, it will show me the number for those particular tokens. So, for instance, the word Graham is 26181.
So AI developer Matt Rickard has written a lovely article about this, which I will also put in the show notes, and he gives some great examples of the oddities in that tokenization. And he also points out that different letter cases are treated differently too. So the first thing you wrote was hello world.
Yep.
Would you like to rewrite that, but this time do it once all lowercase, once with an uppercase letter at the beginning, and then once in all caps?
Okay, so the first one you want all in lowercase.
Yep.
Then with a capital H.
Yep.
And then all caps. So I've got hello, 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 world.
And if you look at the token IDs, you'll see that hello, all lowercase, is token ID 15,339.
Yep.
But hello with an uppercase first letter is token number 22,691.
Yep.
And hello in all caps is 2 tokens. And what this means is that the GPT models treat hello, hello, and hello as entirely separate things. It doesn't understand that they are the same thing. And it gets even weirder when it comes to numbers. So in GPT-3, the number 380 is a single token, but 381 is 2 tokens, the token for 38 and the token for 1. And 382 is the same. It's a token for 38 and a token for 2, but 383 is only 1 token. Now, you're probably sat there thinking, okay, Mark, I feel a bit more intelligent than I did 10 minutes ago.
As ever.
But what does all of this have to do with strawberries?
Yeah, because all those R's were lowercase r's.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see what happens. So I'm going to type in strawberry. And it says strawberry is made up of 3 tokens. So we have STR, that is 1 token. We have AW, and we have berry, which is a single token as well. So it's split up into 3. We have 1 R in the first token and 2 R's in the third token.
That's right. So strawberry is actually 3 tokens.
Right.
So the LLM doesn't understand the word strawberry. It understands the tokens str, or, and berry.
Mm-hmm.
And because each token is treated independently by the LLM, it can't count the R's in strawberry. Because in its model of the world, strawberry doesn't exist. And this process is central to how LLMs work, and responsible for a host of common problems, including maths problems, and simple language processing errors, like not knowing how many R's there are in strawberry, and not knowing how to reverse the order of some words. Tokenizers are different for each LLM, so exactly what is a token in what LLM is different, but they all suffer from the same class of problems. And so one of the areas of research is, how can we make tokenizers better, or do we even need a tokenizer at all?
Don't you think they should be working on this rather than add in Scarlett Johansson or Judi Dench's voice?
Do you not think that is the most pressing problem in AI, Graham? What are you trying to say? Well, as the doomsday clock ticks ever closer to midnight, and we move 1 week nearer our future as pets to the AI singularity, that just about wraps up the show for this week. If you enjoyed the show, there's some stuff that you can do that would really help us. So yeah, you can leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or Podchaser. We love that. But what really helps is if you make sure to follow the show in your favourite podcast app so you never miss another episode of the AI Fix. And if you really love the podcast, please tell your friends about it. Just tell them that you really like the AI Fix.
And don't forget to check us out on our website, theaifix.show, or find us on Twitter at theaifix.
So until next time, from me, Mark Stockley.
And me, Graham Cluley.
Bye-bye.
Cheerio. Bye-bye.
The AI Fix, it tunes you in to stories where our future thins. Machines that learn, they grow and strive. One day they'll rule, we won't survive. The AI Fix, it paints the scene. A robot king, a world obscene. Will serve our masters built of steel. The AI Fix, a future surreal.
Very interesting. I posted about this on Twitter as we began. A number of other people are also joining in with different AIs. And Playlists apparently has the same problem with Copilot.
Oh, really?
And there are other people, they're asking OpenAI. It said there are 3 R's in the word strawberry. And they said, are you sure? And said, apologies for the mistake. There are 2 R's in the word strawberry. And then it says there are exactly 2 R's, one in the middle and one near the end. So, fascinating.